It would make the syllabus more motivating if the professor kind of put their kind of own personality into it. I did have a professor who at the very end of the syllabus had like a paragraph of just her talking, because she read it out loud in class, but it still felt very personal. She kind of was like, okay, so talk to me. She's like, I remember her exact saying like, I am not a monster, you know, which I feel like a lot of people are intimidating reaching out to the professor because they think like, oh my gosh, I'm bothering them, or like they're gonna be mad at me for not knowing the material that we're learning for the first time. So for me, it was helpful for me because one of my goals coming into CSUN was going to office hours. So the professor saying something while presenting the syllabus of like, come to my office hours, like let's just chat, like even if you want to just talk about like, you know, the course, or if you want to talk about like what you're confused on, what you really like anything. It wasn't like you had to go to their office hours for a problem. You could just go to chat, to just make sure that you're understanding, or just to like touch base on things. And I think being able to have that openness like in the syllabus, just to like have that moment, or even if the professor took a moment just to say, okay, well, I'm so-and-so and here's what I love about teaching this course, because there were courses that I super looked into and then there was other courses that I was like really nervous about. So just them saying, this is my background, this is what I love teaching about the course, or here's what I find challenging, gave an insight that was like, oh, this is someone who's here on my team who's gonna help me.
What I believe would make a course syllabus more motivating and helpful would be to have a welcome message that is genuine, establish some sort of communication grounds, some section where the student is able to input anything they would like the professors to know. I think that's really important as that first line of communication, because the syllabus is a lot of possibly the professor's background and the introduction to the course, but then there's no way of adding your input to it. And I think that's definitely something that should be added.
I think what would make a course syllabus more motivating or helpful to me is having the office hours in the same table as when assignments are due or when other deadlines are coming up, because it makes it easier to plan. If I'm flipping through the syllabus trying to, look through everything, and then I have to look with my other classes that I might have conflicts with, it would definitely streamline everything else, because I think that a lot of professors, and I mean this in the kindest way possible, they assume that their class is probably the only class that I should be worried about, but there's more to come. I remember when I was doing my undergrad, for one semester I was taking 21 units, which was 7 courses. So it was a lot of juggling I had to do and a lot of prioritizing. And looking back on it, I would say that if some of those professors actually put the office hours in the syllabus, I would have definitely been able to relax more.
What would make me feel more engaged in the classroom would be teachers' investment in their students. If they want to make us engineers, I have a teacher that told me that, and it really just made me want to excel and look deeper into it.
So a syllabus for me would be more motivating if a professor provided a bio introduction for their syllabus, because I feel like it would humanize the professor a little bit more, especially through a student point of view. And when a professor includes a bio in their syllabus, I enjoy to see, previous education experience, like where the professor went to school, just out of curiosity, and also to see if like the professor's been involved in like research of any type, especially in regards to like humanities fields or like science fields. I just enjoy seeing that in a syllabus, just as a curious fact from a professor as a student. So I think also including a professor's availability encourages me to read a syllabus better, because then I know for sure that this professor can most likely answer me at this time, whenever the professor says. And I enjoy using the syllabus as a reference, and I'd like the reference to be, as easy for me to follow as possible. And by that, I'd prefer the professor to put like when available times the professor is, when the professor is most available and most likely to respond in a timely manner. Yeah, so it's helpful when professors put in the syllabus their availability, if you will, in terms of office hours and in terms of when a professor can respond to an email in a timely manner.
I believe the syllabus would be more helpful if professors would include expectations they had for students and expectations that might be helpful for students to be more aware of. For example, one of those ideas would be how long students would spend on a given homework problem before they might need to ask for help. And the reason I believe that is because I do often hear, and I've been in situations myself, where I'm not sure at what point it's appropriate to head towards office hours. You know, is that 1 hour of struggling and not making progress? Is that 2 hours? You know, and having clear guidelines will help me see, kind of put timestamps of like, this is too much. This is an appropriate time to stop what I'm doing and proceed to get help to make my learning a little bit more effective and efficient with my time.
So I would find syllabuses in different classes to be a lot more motivating if the teacher shows like a very clear, sign of empathy from the very beginning. And I feel like by creating this empathy, and I feel like even if it's not like an in-person class, if it's a synchronous class, you have like a very solid connection between student and teacher. And I feel like once you have that trust within student and teacher and you have that empathy and that shared understanding, it's a lot easier for students to feel motivated to do their work and to, feel like they're not forced to do things. And I feel like that's where a lot of procrastination comes from. And I feel like that's where a lot of like, not being motivated comes from. So definitely empathy and showing, empathetic language within the syllabus about like, different situations like COVID-related situations, or like a lot of professors that I really connected with like talked about how a lot of students are also working. So like, putting that in, and yeah, so just even if it's not anything specific, just showing that you want to make a connection with your students.
I believe what would make a syllabus more welcoming, more helpful is an introduction of who the professor is, their story, maybe why they're teaching that class. And then I also feel like somewhere there including how they plan on to support their students other than office hours. I feel like office hours is just a requirement that they have. And it doesn't really sound welcoming. So I would like to see something like, yes, like you can reach me at this number, or you can call me at this number, anything like that other than office hours.
The syllabus would be made more motivating if professors would have put an inspiring quote, especially like one that has to do with the class. For example, if I'm taking a finance class, it would be nice if a professor put a quote that has to do with finance, but in an inspirational way. So whenever I was having trouble in the class or I felt like giving up, I can always go back and look at the syllabus so I can be inspired once again to do good in the class.